Today we've got a 2016 Ford Focus 1.5 TDCi with roughly 58,000 miles on the clock. Going to do an oil and filter change. So the first thing you want to do, it's quite helpful if you just pull the dipstick out of the tube or take the filler cap off, just so you can let air into the engine and the oil out of the bottom. Helps to stop it from glugging. So right, let's get this socket on there. That's loose. I've got a dirty old oil tray here to drain it into. This engine's cold. When it's hot, just be wary because it will come out a lot faster. It can spray all over the place. So you can see that's quite a slow stream of oil coming out there. That'll take a little while to drain down, so I'm just going to rest this down here. Hopefully it won't splash everywhere. And let that do its thing for a little while. So this has been draining for a while now. As you can see, it's reduced to a very slow drip. I don't think we're going to achieve much by leaving it any longer really. So we'll get the sump plug back in. This plug has got a copper washer on it, which it looks fine, perfectly good condition. I'm going to reuse this. It's a good idea to check these and make sure they're not split or all splayed out where they've been over tightened in the past. A little bit overkill using a 1/2 inch drive, but that's what I've got to hand. So you don't need to do these up too tight. But just make sure it's nipped. Obviously you don't want the thing falling out, coming loose and leaking. Right, next thing, I'll drop the ramp down and take the oil filter out. I'll leave this tray under here because it will probably drip. These covers, by the way, they literally just pull off. They've just got rubber sockets. Oh, that one's missing. And a ball on the car, so ball and socket. Just push them down. So the oil filter on this particular model is tucked down here underneath the air filter. I will be changing the air filter as well, so I'm going to remove the air filter box. That just clips over, the little rubber strap there. You've got a multi-plug here, which you pull up a little tag there, then you can squeeze it. You can see that's like a locking device. Put it up, squeeze it in and pull the plug off. Prise this plastic clip off of here. That's it. One vacuum pipe. That just pulls off. I think I'll undo this Jubilee clip here. loosen that. A similar thing with the engine cover, rubber ball and socket. That's usually how these are held in. So I'll take a bit of a yank, push that off, wriggle that out of there. Oh, that's part of the battery cover, just all unclips. So as you can see, that's giving us plenty of space to work in. That's your oil filter housing, 27mm I believe. Yep, that's it. Feels loose now. This is when the oil usually dribbles out. So I'm going to pull this out and get it upright fairly quickly. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to tip this out into the drainer, get as much oil out as I can, and then we'll put this in the vise. And I'll show you how the filter comes out. So I've just nipped this up gently in the vise, just find it a little bit easier to get the filter out and change the O-ring. These should just pull out, but they do get a bit tight in there. That was it, just lever it up gently. I fix in the middle onto some plastic barbs down the bottom. So that's rubbish. That's the barbs there, which secure the filter in place. So while it's here, I'm going to get this oil seal off as well. That's it. That'll be rubbish as well. I've got my new filter. Always need plenty of rag when doing something like this. So this end just pushes down over the barbs. You've got a peg at the top here which needs to locate into the filter housing. As you do it up, it'll turn, but this will locate into the correct place and stop turning while you're tightening the plastic cap housing. So this O-ring can go back on into the groove. Make sure that's sat nicely in there. Then you can go back to the car and screw that in. I don't know if you can see in there. Down there, there's a round hole where that peg locates. But you can, alternatively, rather than putting the oil filter into the cap, you could put the peg into the hole, push the filter down, and then tighten the housing onto it. But I tend to find that's a little bit difficult to get started, so I always do it this way, and I haven't had a problem yet. Been doing it for a fair few years. So that's started now, nice and easy. Then as the peg gets down lower, it hits the stop, gets a little bit tighter, and obviously you've got the O-ring seal going into the housing, which makes it a bit tighter as well. That's it. Just nip that up. I think there's a torque figure on most of these housings of about 24 Newton meters. So if you've got a torque wrench to hand, that's great. You can go ahead and torque it up. But you just got to be sensible really, nip it up. Remember it's only plastic, so don't go too mad with it. You don't need a massive, great big ratchet like this one. It's just what I've got to hand. Okay, so that's back in. We can go ahead and get this airbox back in now, which is going to be a little bit of a wriggle. So that's your ball and socket connection there. There's another one there, which goes into there, down here, and another one there. They just push in. That's it, nice and snug. Now that just pulls down and clips over a peg. The, where is it? Vacuum pipe. Does that go on there? Yes, vacuum pipe goes on next. Push that little lug back in there. This should clip back in. There we go. And push that little white peg down to stop it from coming off, which just leaves the Jubilee clip to be tightened up. Right, I'll get the battery cover back on. Mustn't forget that. That's it. I'll get some oil measured out in a jug and fill it up. So if you haven't done already, make sure the dipstick's out a little bit. I'll try and remember to pull this out before I drain the oil, as I explained earlier. And it also helps when you're filling up oil as well, filling up with oil so the air can come out. Now I know these engines hold roughly around 4 litres, so I'm going to go with about 3.7 to start with. Handy funnel made out of a plastic bottle. Seems to fit just right in there. Okay, so I'm going to start the engine up, let it tick over for a little while. You don't need to rev it, especially when you've just changed the oil, because it takes a little while for it to pick up and get around all the bearings. Right, okay. That'll do nicely. Just make sure the oil light goes out. It will take slightly longer than normal, but you know, definitely shouldn't be on for 10 seconds or anything like that. That's starting to get a little bit too much. So now it's run up and the oil's circulated and gone around the filter. Just let it stand for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. 5–10 minutes, I guess. And then dip it and make sure the level's okay. So we started this up once we filled it up with oil. As I say, it takes around about 4 litres. I've only put 3.7 in. It's easier to check it and top it up than it is to get back underneath and drain a bit out if you go a little bit too much, put too much in. So let's see where we're at with this. It's sat for between 5 and 10 minutes, so it should be settled. Yeah, as you can see, the little arrowhead there pointing to that line, it's just underneath it. I would say that that's enough now. When the engine warms up and that settles, that'll definitely come up to the maximum there. The minimum mark is, clean a bit off, right down here. So at the moment we are here and the maximum is there. That's great.